tuning in today, everyone. I just want to let you know my book is out and available on Amazon and Barnes& Noble. The name is Parents, Our Greatest Teachers. And now, back to our
everyone, this is your host, Alex Valgood, and this is Leap of Health. And today we have Ruby-san Youngz. She's a holistic emotional spiritual practitioner who has been featured on the BBC and a Spirit and Destiny magazine, which is super cool. She also is an expert on crystal and quantum energy therapies. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So welcome, Sam. Thank you for being here today.
Hi, Alex. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes. And before we get into the whole what is quantum energy healing and crystals and all this, tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to this point in life.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to give you quite a shortened version, or we could be here forever. So my story is basically a lifetime of traumatic events, really, and experiences that I didn't realize had such an impact on me. I just knew I wasn't where I wanted to be. I didn't feel healthy. I had mental health issues, physical issues, emotional issues. And it actually took me being diagnosed with a couple of chronic illnesses to find out I'd got genetic conditions. And so I was severely ill, housebound, bedbound. I've had to use a wheelchair at times. And it was that journey of trying to connect my dots, trying to put the jigsaw pieces together that conventional medicine just wasn't able to. Look at it from a holistic level, energetic level, trying to get to the root cause, as it were, that led me to where I am now, helping other women join their dots and get to their root causes, and bring into their awareness, really, of how events in their life and the relationships, their sort of foundational relationships, have formed their now and how that's impacting now, and move them out and release that to move into the life that they want to create for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. What were some of the things that you start or the modalities that you start using for your own healing at those times?
Okay, so I've always had an interest in holistic, natural, alternative, complementary, whatever label you want to put on it. Everyone's got their own view on that. I've always had an interest in that because my mum did, and through finding out my own genetic condition, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, we realised that her health issues, my issues, had come from her genetic line as well. So it helped her because she couldn't find answers through life either. So it's been, if I think back to when I was severely ill, which was 2009-10, it was basics of mindfulness, meditation, being outside in nature. I have used homeopathy for years, as did my mum, acupuncture. There's all holistic level stuff. And then once I had sort of got my physical body into a much better strengthened position, because I had very, very severe chronic fatigue and I was reacting to everything. My body was sort of rejecting everything. Once I'd got my body into a more stable position, a more resilient position physically, then I realised that a sort of picture was coming to me that I had to deal with my emotions that I'd been trying to avoid, and some of my lifestyle choices had led to me becoming so ill because I'd made choices that weren't that great in life to try and avoid the emotional pain that I was feeling. You know, trying to self-medicate, blot it out with like alcohol, working ridiculous hours, becoming a workaholic, just to not deal with what needed dealing with, basically. And until I started to process that and work through these unresolved situations, unresolved emotions, that was a massive sort of turning point for me. It was just like a whole weight had gone. And then I could put together, I became more aware of why I reacted and behaved in the way I did to things that didn't make sense to me. Because I didn't really, you know, it's our subconscious conditioning patterns. We just keep repeating the cycles. Yeah. And then once I brought that into my awareness, released it, I then went on to work to sort of re-imprint what I'd released with what I wanted to be, and that is in the shape of sort of and the beginning of that process, actually going back to the beginning of that, is sort of becoming aware of gratitude, daily gratitude practices, and just being in a place from healing my emotions, the sort of lower vibrational emotions such as grief, shame, guilt, fear. I had a lot of fear, something awful was going to happen, just that continual high alert status. Yeah, I was then able to, as I say, see the world in colour. It was no longer just black and white. I had a much bigger perspective of myself and understanding of myself, but then I also had a much greater understanding of those around me, and sort of what had driven them to behave in the ways they had driven. And I was sort of, I'd come out of blaming the world for everything and reach a place of acceptance of who I am, being able to like myself again, and put myself first, basically. Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that you mentioned how like different emotions have like different vibrations. I think that's something that I love that science has been testing, has been proving. So that's really, really amazing for all these holistic practitioners that have been doing it for so long. And that people were like, what is that? No, that doesn't sound right. Because it's almost like if you don't see it, you can't believe it. But now there's a lot of studies, a lot of testing that has been done scientifically that proves that emotions have like these vibrational levels. You know, if you're sad or upset or grieving or all this, your vibrational level, it's a lot lower, as opposed to being super excited or happy, surprised. You know, they have like a little bit more of the higher vibrational level. Tell us a little bit about this, because I know this goes hand in hand with the quantum healing that you do. How does this work, and how would you explain it for people that still like iffy about it, like, oh, I don't know what that is, that sounds, you know, like woo-woo a little bit. But
it's hard.
It's proven.
It is proven, but it is hard sometimes to put into words that isn't a verbal language. It's an energetic language, and something I've struggled with, because I'm very empathic, and I would class myself as a highly sort of sensitive person. And I think if you are one of those people, the world can be a very confusing place, because you're absorbing. It's not just your stuff going on. It's like, okay, I'm picking up everything here, planetary stuff, earth stuff, and then the humans around you. So yeah, it is hard sometimes to put something into a verbal language that isn't a verbal language, energetic. But basically, I'll try and keep this as concise as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the modality that has helped me and what I now practice is I have many energetic and emotional modalities that I use. All my work is very bespoke to each individual and where their starting point is. But one of the core ones is this Quantum Holographic Echo Healing, which is a mouthful in itself. But this modality is bringing in multiple modalities into one, and I love it so much because we're using crystals, we're using pendulums, we're using the guidance from the energy of the tarot cards, and then we're accessing. So it's an emotional, energetic, balancing modality. And now to put it, I'll sort of break down each part to try and explain it. So quantum, this is a word that is a lot more mainstream now than what it was, say, 20 years ago or whatever. But as you say, it's been there forever. That was there long before humans was there. You know, the laws of the universe and cycles, and that have been long before we ever arrived. So the quantum, so some people call it the quantum field, it's the matrix, but it's everything really. It starts within a cell within us and then just grows out from our physical form into our aura, our energetic field around us, and we're all connected. Everything's connected. So then we're connected to our community, our region, our country, and basically up into our universe and solar system. And Dr. Joe Dispenza is, I love his work, but he really does, if you want to go deep into knowing what the quantum is, that's the one to go and read. So it's everything, it's all the universal fields that surround us and connect us. Lynn McTaggart is another good person to look up. She talks about the field in her work. So the holographic, this is sort of our body, we can class as a hologram in the fact that it holds the whole of everything that's ever occurred for us. So it's a holographic in nature. It contains the whole. And our holographic contains everything that's happened to us in this life, past life, in our ancestral lineage, and on a collective level. And that could be your particular demographic. It can be what gender you identify with. So, you know, there's collective wounds for women that go back thousands of years. And then there's collective wounds as if for different countries, you know, different races. So it's everything in that holographic. So the echo, and if you think about an echo sort of boop, boop, you know, repeating or whatever, the echo, our echo is the ripple effect of everything that's in our hologram, in our holographic.
Okay.
And it's everything from that hologram ripple that's impacting us energetically, and most of it we're not even going to be aware of, because it's in our subconscious awareness. And that, even though we're not consciously aware of it, but it's how we live each day in the here and now, of a ripple effect of everything that's come before. And then the healing part, the healing part of all of this is, our human bodies are just phenomenal. They're just phenomenal, and they are made to heal and regulate and trying to keep us in balance. And they will do everything. And again, we're not knowing what's going on, but it's just doing its thing. We're breathing, we cut ourselves, it heals. You know, generally for most people, it will heal, but we're not consciously doing that. Our body's doing that because it's trying to get us back into balance and heal. And our emotions, our emotions are what drives everything in us. So our emotion will drive a thought, and then a thought might come back down and give us another emotion, and then it might go back up again. But our emotions are drivers of how we react. We might keep having the same reaction to something and we don't really understand why. It's how we behave, and it's our drivers. So if you kind of think of it, someone might say something to us, and we, at the time, it may not seem that big a deal, but our body retains everything in that energetic, emotional snapshot in time. And whilst 20, 30 years or whatever, something later, you might not remember exactly what someone said to you, but your body and you, if it's conscious to you, will remember how you felt. And this is our brain tries to keep us in safe mode. That's how we're wired as humans. We're wired for the negativity bias. It thinks it's keeping us safe, and it's keeping us in this loop. And then if we've had a lot of different things happen to us, our nervous system just goes all out of sync, and we're in the freeze, flight, fight mode. And when you can get stuck in each of those, but by going down to the root of what it was and releasing the energetic and the emotional ripple effect, as I mentioned earlier, is when you can reduce its grip on the here and now.
Yeah, I think it's very important to understand that pretty much our emotions will be attached to this physical reaction that we might have to
definitely
things, right?
Yeah, if we don't, like, I'll just take myself as an example. If we ignore warning signs, or we avoid stuff as, say, unresolved emotions, it will show up for you physically, or mental health issues physically. It's not going to go away. It will show up in one way or another until you take notice. And if you are getting a physical issue, or you end up with a chronic issue like I did, it can take, there's not going to be no quick fix on this. It can take a while to unravel it all. But definitely everything, there will always be an energetic and emotional belief, unmet need behind something, a physical or mental issue, and it is drilling down to those.
Yeah. What are some of those physical either disease or things that have shown for your clients that you've seen that a lot of these emotions have been attached to their physical body, and now is showing as all these different ailments? What are some of the most common or most extreme you've seen that people might think like, oh no, it's just like I'm ill or whatever, but it's really attached to something emotional?
So okay, well, I'll touch on sort of the lower vibration emotions. So people seem to may have a weak spot in their body that when they get maybe a simple cold, but I mean, the simple cold seems to have gone out the window in the last couple of years. But say if you have a cold virus or a virus, or maybe that's the wrong term of words as well. But anyway, some people will always find, or more often find, that there may be one symptom that they seem to always end up with worse. So, for example, sore throats. If you continually get sore throats, And you think, oh, why does this always get worse, or why does it just pop out of nowhere? Sore throats are very much related to communication. So it's about, there is something that you've suppressed and buried that needs to be expressed out of you, needs to be said. So you might be have a feeling that you've never been listened to, you've never been heard, your voice is never, your opinion, your voice is never taken into account by anyone, and you just feel you can't speak what you really want to speak. And you might be wearing a mask as well, like what you are speaking isn't actually the true you. And this can go back, everything can go, you can trace back to childhood. So it may be as a child you were told to be quiet, or that's stupid. Particularly if children are very innocent, and we do have a very strong connection to this quantum field and the higher energies. Sometimes you can be like, well, adults unknowingly may suppress your own connection to you by telling you that's nonsense, you don't know what you're on about. So throat issues are very much about stuff that you're saying is either not truly you, or your voice has been silenced really along the way. Now, chest issues, if you get a lot of chest issues, or if you've noticed, if you have had a bereavement or something, it's very common for people to end up with chest infections. I know I have after bereavements, and this is because grief, loss and sadness is held in the lungs. So if you get recurring chest infections, or you might go on to more serious sort of pneumonia, or you may actually go on and have lung issues sort of as asthma or something, that is a strong indication that there is loss, grief and sadness that has been stored in your body that needs to be worked through and processed. What else? I mean, there's so many different body ailments that so also with a throat issue, you might find, because it is connected physically as well, you might have hearing issues or get a lot of ear infections. And this is an indication that you're not listening to the messages of the universe that are being trying to show you, or you're just not willing to listen. You might be just stuck in a rut and you're just not willing to listen to there actually could be a different perspective on this, or there could be a reason, or you might just be in an environment where you don't want to listen because it's not a pleasant environment.
Yeah, for sure. What about I know a lot of people get pain in their backs or shoulders.
So I mean, particularly in the UK, I don't know if it's so much in it over in the States, but we have sort of a lot of old folk tales or sayings or stories. So
right.
So shoulders, strong indication you're carrying the weight of the world in your shoulders. So if you've got shoulder issues, you're carrying a heavy weight around with you that needs to go. Again, this is going back to events that may have happened, issues. That it is very much about you're carrying the weight of the world in your shoulders, basically. And then we can drill that down. So left side or right side. Left side, if you've got left side issues, this is very much linked to the feminine, the maternal. So it might be females in your family, the maternal line. It might be, again, left side is very much the divine feminine, so emotions. So that's very much indicated on there. So I can sort of look, if someone says what side it is, I can make a good assumption of where it's coming from. And then we'll drill down on that a bit more. And again, because it's in the subconscious, people might, no, I don't know what you're on about, but as we drill again, it's like, oh, right, get it. And the right side is very much the masculine, the action, the doing, our physical environment, so that the father's line as well. So it might be there's things that have happened in your life that have involved males, and that can show in your right side, or you might be worrying about your physical environment, and stuff. Yeah,
for sure. What's some more, because a lot of people might say, well, I'm healthy, I just get like pains here and there or whatever, it's not like a big deal. What are some of the things that you recommend to your clients to do if it's just like, oh, I just get here and there, I get back pain or shoulder pain or whatever, but they're not sure of the connection of their emotional? Because a lot of people might say, well, I have no traumas, I'm fine, I have a family, I have a good job, I have a stable life. Like their life looks really well for them to think like, I have something traumatic that happens. Because they think when we talk about traumas or something that we have on our subconscious, they think like car accident or some sort of things like that. But what do you say to those people?
Yeah, so you made a really useful point there about traumas. So they don't have to be anything, there's big T's, little T's, they don't have to be huge. And actually in sessions that I see, it's something small that I get the most reaction of, like, oh, I would never have realized it was something that happened 20 years ago, but it's the ripple effect. It's gone into your echo, and if there's more ripple effects that are similar to that, this is where sort of the picture starts to build up, and it's going in and finding the most prominent ones to release all of that ripple effect on that. So and for sure, people may have accidents and injuries and be left with physical damage, but if it's not clearing up, then you need to look at, okay, well, this isn't clearing up, it should have healed fully by now, why isn't it? And then we can look at the emotional, energetic. So again, for an accident, say, I would ask a person, what was going on in your life when that happened? It is about it is connecting the dots for someone and putting that pathway for them to see. So I'll just ask, well, okay, what was happening in your life in recent times around that accident? Oh, okay. And it's like, oh, well, actually it was, this and this. Okay. Have you ever felt like that before in life? Oh, well, actually, yeah, I have. Okay, well, let's go and explore that. So even if it's a little niggle, but if it keeps showing itself up, then there is something that may seem completely irrelevant to you that's happened in your life. But once we work on that, identify it, release it, and then replace it with positive, higher vibrational belief, because I always work with them to replace with a belief of a new belief of what we've just let go and released. Then you can't guarantee results for someone, but all of my clients have all seen a positive outcome from doing this work.
Nice. Why is it so important to replace those negative beliefs or impactful beliefs that we have on our consciousness with positive?
Why it's so important? Because again, as I explained about the holographic, you can release something, but we are energetic beings, so we are absorbing still what's going on around us. So you can release something and just leave it as that, and there's that space there in your energetic field that can just be filled in with something else. Now, it could be another positive experience, but I'm not going to leave that to chance, because it could be a negative one. So I want to get your cellular cells believing straight away, okay, well, no, this is the new way. It takes time to change those pathways in your body.
Yeah, for sure. I love that you mentioned earlier that we tend to go into more of the negative. We're trying to be in these survival mode, that our mind always is try to keep these negative beliefs to let us know that if this happens again, it's, you know, it's going to be bad. So so is that why you put this positive substitutions, I guess, of emotions, so you can actually stop going in this circle with the negative and put in something positive?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can call it a circuit breaker if you want. And say it does, if you've walked the same pathway energetically or in your brain, the normal pathway, that is your worn, you know, you can think about that as a pathway in a field with the grass trampled down. If you've walked that for a number of years, it takes an effort for the brain to change its way of thinking and to start making a new pathway beside it, and allowing that old pathway for the grass to pop up and be, you know, a smooth surface again. So yeah, and it's something that I really love about the quantum holographic work, and I think it makes it quite unique, is it's sort of an ability to rewrite the future. You're rewriting the pathway. And yeah, it helps you create the reality that you want to create.
I love that. Yeah. What are some of the things that people can do as self-care to release things that they might not even know they're holding?
Yeah, so I would, for self-care, but I always recommend that you do work with someone, because you can't access it yourself when you want to the root. But definitely I would, if you are what I call a spiritual person, in the way that you do like doing practices such as mindfulness or meditation, or you know, I always advocate just going and sitting in nature and just being, not doing, and grounding. So grounding, definitely grounding activities, and that can be a foot bath, it can be earthing your feet actually on the earth or sand or dirt, not concrete, and that allows you to open up more possibilities of information to come to mind. So definitely grounding activities, and not everyone's, you know, a writer, but I definitely recommend writing. Gratitude, 3 things daily, or of what you're grateful for, but just writing about what may have happened that day, and keeping sort of a diary really of things that have happened and how you're feeling. And then you can go back and look and think, oh, okay, well, when this happens, and if there's similar events or instances, I feel this way, and it will start to form a picture for you really, like, okay, I think I need to work on this more. I'm seeing you begin to see your own patterns. Oh, pardon me. Yeah, so that is another thing. Yeah, and I say, when you are working with someone, healing your heart, and your heart chakra is your gateway between the universe and earth, and improving your relationship. So definitely writing down about how you're feeling, as I said, grounding, and self-care is huge. Now, some people find it really hard to be able to put themselves first, and this is who I help. You know, you're always the strong one. Yeah. It can get really exhausting being the strong one, get really frustrating, and self-care is huge on this. And again, for me, that was something I've had to work really hard on, because it didn't come naturally to me. I just wanted to be avoiding everything. So for emotional regulation, there is actually a model, I can't remember the bloke's name now, but he's got an actual model where for emotional regulation, we need to have at least 50% of our downtime, our activity, as self-care. And then the other 50% is split 25% to like doing stuff. And I can't remember the other one now. Yeah, but in your downtime, because obviously we have to work, so we can't be in self-care
the whole day,
half the day. You know, we do have to. We are living a human experience. We are here for a journey, for life lessons, and we do have to work. So I'm not expecting you to half a day you're awake, I've got to do self-care. I'm not saying that, but you really need to look at the balance of how you're spending your spare time. And if you're not having any spare time, you really need to look at that and change it. In your spare time, it will really help you if you can allocate 50% of that to just self-care for you.
Yeah, for sure. I think you touch on a really good point, where if we really look at our day and we're like, okay, what's the percentage of my day being for my self-care? It's really not a lot.
No.
Because, you know, you wake up in the morning, maybe if you have time, you do like a little workout, I don't know, 30 minutes maybe, if you have time. And then you have to, you know, make breakfast or whatever it is that you do in the morning, go to work if you have a normal job, or if you're an entrepreneur, you work way more hours than if you actually have a normal job. So putting it right there, it puts us an 8-hour, you know, like mostly. And then that's already the afternoon time. And then after that, if you have kids or something, or a pet or whatever, or a partner, you have to make food, spend some time there. Also, you know, we got to take care of our place. So sometimes we got to do like the dishes or cleaning or whatever. And that's the whole day, mostly, right?
Yeah.
So really it's like, you know, it's a really great question to think about. How many hours or minutes do you actually spend on just sit down on your couch and take a deep breath, or see how you're feeling, or do you make your favorite tea and just chill for a second? I feel like we feel that watching TV, it's our downtime, but it's not.
No.
Because even then we still like engage with the emotions of whatever we're watching. So our body's still not on the peace mode or chill mode or whatever, however you want to call it. So it's really, really important. I mean, now that you mention it, it's really making me think about like, what, you know, even just on the week, don't even think about the day, but what did I do this week for me? Is it really amazing question to ask ourselves? And if you didn't do anything for yourself, I think it's time, you know, to start planning some. And as you said, I mean, 50%, it's a lot of time. And I'm sure a lot of people will be like, oh, well, that's not doable. But whatever you can do for yourself, I think it really will go a long way in your health, physical health, mental health, and all that. And there's a lot of things that we could do what are some of the things that you do for your self-care?
Yeah, so like blocking time out,
Yes.
actually blocking time out in your
Scheduling.
calendar, diary, or however you manage your time. Or maybe you need to start managing your time is a good starting place, because everyone has got a different starting point. But definitely blocking out time. So what do? I love, I keep going back to nature. Being in harmony with the cycles of nature is one of the most powerful things that you can do for your holistic health. So taking note of the sun and moon phases. I mean, we're recording this on a very powerful weekend. We've got a new moon, we've got a solar eclipse going on today on the 30th of April, and then tomorrow we've got the Celtic festival Beltane, which is the height of spring energy.
Awesome.
And there's been a hell of a lot going on in the universe this year already with the planets. So just being aware of the cycles of the planets and being in harmony is great. That's something I do. I do follow what's going on. And actually, this might be a tip for your listeners, that the period from the full moon down to the new moon, which is a feminine yin period, is when our energy levels will start to drop. It's when our moods start to drop. It's when our emotions can become heightened. We might notice we're not sleeping as well. So yeah, just be aware, and again, take notice of what you're feeling around new moons and full moons. So being out in nature, and this doesn't have to, just be a minute with it, just taking time out. So just go and sit outside with your favorite drink and just listen to what's going on around you, smell what's going on around you, look what's going on around you, and just give yourself a break in that way. So that is something I really love to do. I actually love colouring as well. Like you can get really good adult colouring books now, mandalas. So I love doing that. That just takes me off into a different world. For some people, it might be reading. Reading isn't that relaxing to me. It could be just listening to relaxation music. I'm a leader wellbeing advisor, so we advise on holistic therapeutic products. It's actually incorporated into my daily life because I'm using the products daily, and that's got the essential oils in there for affecting the mood. Having a lovely pampering bath with natural oils and herbs and Epsom salts. Amazing.
Lighting some candles. Really good right
now. And this can take, and this is something that's taken me a lot longer to say. I class myself as a recovering people pleaser. Boundaries, learning to say no and not feeling guilty for it. It's one of the most empowering things that's happened for me.
That's amazing. Yeah, for sure. I think that's also a big one. I feel like we fill out our schedule, obviously we gotta work and that's gonna be in our schedule, but everything else that happens in our schedule is because we're doing something with someone or for someone.
Yes.
And sometimes that someone, it's not yourself.
Yeah.
So I think like it's just so cool and it's amazing that you are putting this thought in our minds, because it's true, like we forget. I mean, but you just mentioned it, my mind just went like, oh, holy crap, like this whole week I was like recording, I was doing this, I was sending emails, designing things for my website, which is fun and it's cool, but it really takes a toll on your body, on your mind. As you say, you start feeling like tired and things like that. So I think really just even a little bit, it helps. And it's just like an amazing thing to think. I think we're all worth of everything. So, you know, so keeping that in mind, it's an amazing thing. So thank you. And anyways, thank you for being here today. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us before we go?
I would just like to share, well, thank you firstly for having me. It's been great to chat with you, and some great questions you gave me there, some thought-provoking subject matters there, really great. What would I like to leave you? Yeah, I'd just like to say, you know, be led by the dreams in your heart. Don't let the fears of your mind hold you back.
For sure. Oh, if you don't hear that right, rewind and listen again. Thank you, Sam, for being here today. And if anyone wants to get in contact with you or even get a session with you, where can they find you?
So I think you're going to put my links into your show notes, is it called? I'm not very techy. So yeah, you can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, just Ruby Sam Youngz, and Youngz with a Z on the end. And there'll be a link there to book, and you can stalk me, because that's what we do. We stalk. We have a bit of a nosy, don't we? We have a bit of a nosy before we think, I'm not sure. But yeah, you can find a couple of reviews on there, and yeah, book through there. And the links will be on this episode as well.
Yes, for sure. I will put all her information on the show notes. And if you would like to, you know, keep in contact with me, you know where to find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Remember, my book is out. It's it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It's called Parents, Our Greatest Teacher. It's a road to inner healing. So you can go ahead and check it out. If you can DM me, send me a review, whatever you like. But anyways, thank you everyone for being here today. Thank you, Sam, and have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.